Remember these two British athletes, Bianca Williams and Ricardo dos Santos? They were stopped and searched. Well, the two police officers who conducted it were sacked for gross misconduct.
Well, it's all now become very divisive as thousands have been donating over £126,000 in total to the pair to support them financially, that's the police officers, after they found themselves out of a job. It seems like both serving and former police officers have dug deep to support them, but that has also resulted in public outrage. So to discuss this, first of all, let's speak to former police officer Norman Brennan. Norman, thank you for joining us this morning. These two officers were found guilty of gross misconduct for lying. Is it right to raise £120,000 to support lying officers?
Can I just correct you? It's 130,000 now, and we're going to call it quits at that. Otherwise, it'll probably go into 200,000 or 300,000. We've got to be reasonable here. And also, can I correct you that the vast amount of money actually donated is from the public. The public, as you rightly say, are outraged at this decision, as are many of us.
Officers. It's public, but including an overwhelming number of police officers who have donated to the page because, of course, they admitted to that in the comments section, which have now been released. But I do understand it will be overwhelmingly the majority of the public who have donated. But why are they donating to two officers who are found guilty of lying?
Because it's one of the most perverse decisions I've seen at a discipline hearing in decades of policing and law and order, and it's widespread right across the board. It appears that the only thing that were found, and it's almost as though these two officers were sacrificial lambs, is that whereas two or three officers stated they smelt something that they thought was cannabis, the panel thought that the other two didn't. It's absolutely bizarre. So an appeal has been put in immediately. The two officers that are two outstanding police officers, hard workers, were sacked and lost their salary overnight just before Christmas. They have families, mortgages to pay. So it's not people donating to give them fast cars and paying their mortgage off. It's to give them some financial respite in these austere times until their appeal is heard early in the new year. And I'll be... Sorry.
Norman, you have called this this panel a kangaroo court. Do you accept, therefore, the panel's decision that racism did not play a role in the detaining of the two athletes? So you do accept that decision, but you're not accepting the decision that they lied about cannabis. And just to give our viewers some context here, three officers who were found that they could have possibly smelt cannabis because they were actually there, whereas there were two other officers who could not possibly have smelt cannabis on. And we must just reiterate that no cannabis was found in the cars of these two
Can I cut
athletes.
to the chase, Norm? Can I cut to the chase, right? Just to help me out, mate, because I'm not as switched on as she is. A court has found them guilty of lying about smelling cannabis and they've been sacked from their jobs. The public and some police officers are outraged and have raised money. Why is this such a big story? Help me out.
You tell me. I'll tell you why it's a big story, and I'll cut to the chase with you, Jeremy, is that these police officers were in an area where there's high homicide, there's gun crime, knife crime, and also drug dealing and big drug offences.
What's homicide got to do with cannabis?
Let him speak,
Well,
Nick.
will you let me please have our say? The media seem to have slated the police. Well, about time somebody listened to our side. I'm just telling you why the police officers were there. And the only reason these two officers have been convicted in mine and probably millions, I think this appeal would probably raise hundreds of thousands, because that's how outraged the public are, is that two black athletes that behaved and drove in such a way that most of us would have been nicked, failed to stop when required to do so, made a hullabaloo about it, and have made complaints. And as a result of that, I believe that huge amounts of pressure was put on the discipline panel. They didn't find a shred of evidence because they were black.
Norm, you know me, always fair. I need to go to Leroy Logan. Stay there. I know you're separate of interviews. Leroy, could I just bring you on? Former police chief superintendent and founding member of the Black Police Association, good friend of mine, Leroy Logan. We haven't got long. I'm really sorry. Your response to Norman Brennan?
Well, in all honesty, I'm not surprised. I think the way in which this comes across as quite petulant and persecuted heroes believing that they have grievance. Obviously, there's an appeal. Let them have their appeal. But I think they need to understand how this erodes trust and confidence, especially in the black community. And you say that Bianca and Roberta was supposed to be, they're so bad and they're driving and everything. All I would say is I've never seen a white family being dealt with in that way, where they're handcuffed for 45 minutes while the child is in distress on the back seat. I've never seen that happen. And in all honesty, that's why people are so enraged by the whole stop and search. And then they go and lie on top of it. And it's just made it worse. And it just shows how divisive the toxic culture of the police service, not only of current members, but retired members of the organisation, and how they're making the public more divisive. And if they think that's a good thing, well, they're fooling themselves.
Leroy, I'd like you and Norman back another day. This is far too quick to talk about something so important. I think Nick and I will try and get that sorted. I apologise that it's very, very quick. It's the timing of a breakfast show. Leroy Logan, Norman Brennan, thank you. And there is, I promise, still loads more to come on Talk today.